You might be the greatest orthodontist on the planet, but if you're spending money to get people through your front door and they're not converting, you must look at your new patient process, right? The phone call, the trial close, all the testing stuff you're doing, the feedback, the listening to the calls, like all the stuff you should be doing on a regular basis. But you also need to be listening to your TC and how he or she is presenting care. Hello there, OrthoPreneurs, and welcome to another episode of your 5-Minute Friday. Today, I want you to make way more money. I want you to make $5 million a year in your practice. $5 million a year, Glenn, that sounds crazy. Well, here's the thing. When I talk around the country on case acceptance and treatment planning and all that stuff that I've spoken about for 2 decades, there's one point I make that's really, really important, and it's you need to have a closer. Now, gone are the days, and I remember them back in the day, when a patient would come in and just because you had the word doctor in front of your name, they trusted you and that was it. And they started treatment with you. Those days are long, long gone. Recently in the OrthoPreneurs Facebook group, I showed a picture of a $2,400 braces ad that came across my Facebook feed. And people showed me that they've seen $1,900 Facebook ads plus a free computer, a free laptop. So sometimes it's a bit of a race to the bottom, and that's okay if that's what they want to do. I don't know how they make money, but I'm not judging them. Yeah, I guess I did when I said race to the bottom, but I'm referring to price-wise, right? They're racing downward, not upward. But whenever you're selling, you need to have a closer, right? When I give my presentations, I always have a picture of Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer in the history of baseball. Now, for many of you out there, you're really good salespeople. You can sell yourself. Or as I've heard one of my friends remark, you could sell Google to Apple, okay? And a lot of you out there are very uncomfortable with salesmanship, but here's the key. You might be the greatest orthodontist on the planet, but if you're spending money to get people through your front door and they're not converting, of course, you must look at your new patient process, right? The phone call, the trial close, all the testing stuff you're doing, the feedback, the listening to the calls, like all the stuff you should be doing on a regular basis. But you also need to be listening to your TC and how he or she is presenting care. Now, you should not typically be the one selling the case. You should be sales support, meaning there are little tips, tricks, and things I talk about, particularly related to digital co-diagnosis, where you can really take, as Tracy Martin likes to call it, a yellow lead and turn it burning hot red so your TC doesn't have a hard time. But if you're not comfortable with sales, if you're not comfortable warming up the lead, as it's called, you'd better have somebody in your office who is. Because if you don't, you know what happens? Your case acceptance plummets or just never goes up. And as a result, you brought in 100 new patients last month. Your marketing efforts were great. You spent a lot of money, but only 40% of them started. Only 50% of them started. Only 60% of them started. I want to see you in the 80s or 90s as a percentage. So again, they're not going to start with you just because they like you. And they're not going to start with you just because you're a doctor. And they're not going to start with you just because you're local. And they're not going to start with you just because you're on their insurance or you have the lowest prices. They're going to start with you because they were sold. Now, selling can be soft and hard, right? Nobody likes a hard sell. If you don't start today, prices are going up tomorrow. Nobody likes that. But a soft sell is moral, honest, and it's necessary because if you don't make money, you can't complete your mission of helping your community. So again, look around your team. If your TC doesn't have great selling skills and isn't passionate about the product that's being sold, meaning they are not 100% on board with you, Dr. X, as a doctor and can't speak glowingly about you and sell you, it's time to get a new TC or have a talk with the existing one. But I've never seen the talk convert them into being a passionate fan. Now, how do you get there? With their permission. Remember, your name is on the building. Your name is on the lease. You have every right to do whatever you want, but you can't, in most states, record somebody without them knowing. So I would let them know that the goal to build the practice is to increase case acceptance and to be better and to make more money so everybody benefits as a result, and that you'd like to record the conversations. You don't have to record the video, though it's not a bad idea, but to record the audio. And that way when patients are in the room, hey, by the way, just want to let you know this is being recorded for quality and control purposes, just like you've heard on phone calls. That way they've been informed. They can say no and you can turn it off. But at the end, let your team member watch and listen to what you recorded before you listen. Let them critique themselves. then play it together and critique it. At the end of the day, again, if you're not the salesperson, you need to have one and you need a closer. So again, if you've been struggling with case acceptance and you've killed yourself on getting your new patient systems down, if you're doing a really good job with everything else, your clinical photography is on point so patients can see what's going on. If you're doing everything you should and you're still not seeing case acceptance, you and your TC should look in the mirror and question, are we really salespeople or are we dropping the ball there? And then you got to figure out how to get around that. Hopefully I'll see you at OrthoPreneurs Summit so that I can talk to you about this there. And of course, we've got lots of resources to help you along. Just go to opsummit2025.com. Much love to each and every one of you, and reach out to me if you ever have any questions. Have a great day.